Hello, my name is Joseph Elan Reaves, and I'm a senior at Valdosta State University. Today I'm giving my final presentation for ACED 4690. What you're about to be a part of requires you to place yourself in the seat of the student, as your viewpoint will be that of the student. Secondly, and most importantly, it is imperative that you understand the information that will be presented today is factual and actual life-saving information. However, this presentation should not take place of you getting yourself certified in CPR, first aid, and AED use. I do thank you for joining us today. What we're doing today is a CPR, first aid, and AED use training refresher course for foster parents. My wife and I are both foster parents and have been certified in the state of Georgia for 2 years. And we want to share with you some of the important life-saving techniques that we've learned through the course of our CPR training to help you and further your development. Now, what would you do if you were suddenly out there and somebody collapsed and had a cardiac arrest? The video you're about to see is real. It shows what several men did in that situation.
Keep doing chest pressing, yes? Okay, okay, now. Yeah, let's just hold it close to it.
Life happens in an instant. Just like we saw in our video, these men were not prepared to have their friend's life suddenly stop in front of them. Like I said, the video is real. These were not actors that we will see in later videos. However, we never know what's going to happen or where it will happen, and that is why you must always be prepared. Thanks to these men being ready and responding in quick fashion, their friend is still alive today. The sad thing is, there are many incidents you read about that if a person knew how to save someone's life from choking or how to perform CPR, that person may have lived. Today we're going to give you a brief training on techniques that can not only save a stranger's life, but the life of your foster child or someone that you love. So what will you learn today? Today we're going to cover the 3 basic techniques: the Heimlich maneuver, basic CPR, and how to properly use an AED, which is called an automated external defibrillator. One of my helpers today, Tom. Tom is a seasoned veteran of our training corps. Tom, say hello. Hello. He's a nice guy. He doesn't really talk much, which is good. I do all the talking for him. However, he's going to help us demonstrate the Heimlich maneuver. Now, the Heimlich maneuver the phrase was first coined in 1974 by Dr. Henry Heimlich, in which he describes the first aid process in which abdominal thrusts are given to an individual to help dislodge any objects in the trachea. Like everything that we will discuss today, time is of the essence. Now we know when someone is choking that you cannot delay in the action. However, whether performing abdominal thrust or applying an AED device, you must stay cool, calm, and collected. There will already be others who panic, and that cannot be you. Now I want to share with you that this has happened 4 times in my life. While this is a very simple maneuver, it has actually saved the lives of 3 people that are near and dear to me, my father and our 2 foster daughters. The first incident with my father happened at my sister's house during dinner. He began choking on a piece of steak or some food, and I was the one closest to him, so I got to him first and started the Heimlich maneuver. Now this was the first time I had done this, and to say the least, I was quite scared. And that's okay. And I got more worried as I was becoming panicked because the food was not coming up. Seconds felt like hours, and then I kept going, and finally the food came up. The second time, with my father, I came home from work and came into him choking. Now, that will scare you to death because you start thinking, man, what if I had stopped by the store or ran an errand or 2 before we got home? Thank God that when I came home when I did, otherwise he may not have made it. Now, during each of these incidents, it required quick thinking with a calm head. Above all else, you must remain in control of yourself, even if you feel like you're not controlling the situation. Now, let's actually go over the proper procedure for giving someone abdominal thrust. As you can see on the slide, we do have an example. This came from WebMD, the proper technique. There are 4 quick steps to remember. Thumb, fist, thrust, repeat. Now, what you want to do, it won't help Tom here get this food dislodged. You still okay? Good. We'll take our thumb and make a fist. We're going to put the fist right above the navel and hold it down. We'll take our other hand. Now, you want to use your dominant hand, and I'm right-handed, so my right hand is my dominant hand. You want to cover that and give a good tight squeeze. You want to hold as tight as you can to your closed fist, and then thrust. Pull in and hard in an upward motion. Now, let's not just take our word for it. Let's talk to Gus to see what he thinks about it.
Welcome to Saving Lives with Gus and your host, Dr. Raj Ruparel.
Hello. We're here at Mayo Simulation Center. We're standing outside one of the mock operating rooms where surgeons and surgical staff can practice their skills. And usually before we go in, we need to wear a hat, mask, gloves, gown. Not today. Because today we're going to be talking about what to do when you see someone choking and how to do the Heimlich maneuver. Gus is in there. He's going to help us demonstrate. Let's go. When you think someone's choking, there's 3 things you got to think. First is, are they in fact choking? Things like speaking, coughing, that's not choking. Bluish lips, inability to speak, loss of consciousness, or the universal choking sign should make you think that you need to act. Gus, are you choking? Gus didn't make any noise, and he used that universal choking sign. So now step 2, you got to get someone to call 911 immediately. While someone goes to call 911, you'll have to perform the Heimlich maneuver. Here's how it's done.
Stand the patient up. Stand with your chest to their back. Place your arms under theirs. Make a fist with your dominant hand and place it in the upper mid-portion of the abdomen. Thrust upward and inward until the object is expelled.
There's 2 things to remember. If they lose consciousness, they're going to need CPR until help arrives. And never perform the Heimlich maneuver on infants younger than 1 year old. We've got another video for that. Thanks for watching. Pass this on to a friend.
Now, Gus and I agree, and that's a good thing. So what you don't want to do, like described here, what you don't want to do here, as described, is do, let's get some quick thrust there. You don't want to try to beat him like a rag doll. You need to make sure you have firm, strong, abdominal thrust. It's going to take a lot of strength, and you're going to be nervous, and that's okay. But remember, thumb, fist, thrust, and repeat. Make sure you do that while somebody calls 911 because like the video said, if Tom passes out because we can't get the food out, we're going to have to begin chest compressions. But above all, just like the sign says, don't panic. You cannot panic in these type of situations. You have to be the one who is cool, calm, and collected. Now, Tom, are you good? We'll set Tom back down. He needs a break. You just rest there. Okay, so cardiopulmonary resuscitation. What comes to your mind when I say CPR? I think when I say those letters first, the thought is, well, performing CPR. And that would be correct. Over time, there have been many updates as the medical world looks to stay up to date on the most basic form of the life-saving technique. Many of you will see in movies for people checking for a pulse, giving rapid compressions, and rescue breaths. While the latest technique is to do just chest compressions, for the longest time, the ratio was 30 compressions to 2 breaths. You give 30 compressions and then you give 2 rescue breaths. However, what we've seen from the American Heart Association in their study, they recommend only to give rescue breaths if there is a barrier available. Many times you may not have a barrier, so you kind of use your own judgment. And when the days of times like the COVID-19 issue, that becomes more prevalent in somebody's mind, as you want to be extremely cautious not to do that because you're not sure what this person may have. Now, obviously the the reward outweighs the risk, but you have to use your own judgment. But just because you can't give rescue breaths does not mean you can't start chest compressions. And like I said, in the movies, you see people checking for pulses, giving real quick thrusts. You don't want to do that. And we'll talk more about that in just a moment. So, what does CPR mean to you? But more importantly, what could it mean to somebody else? So, let me ask you another question. Who likes to build things with their hands? Show of hands. Now, I like to build things. I'm not very good at it, but I do like to pretend I am. Now, when you build something, let's say a she shed, you're going to need a lot of the tools of the trade. You're going to need lumber, screws, a saw, hammer, measuring tape, ad infinitum. But most importantly, your she shed needs you. So let's look at some of the tools of the trade for the CPR. And we'll show you some of these items when we get to our demonstration. We'll go over the barrier mask, the AED device, and most importantly, the most basic tool of the trade, you guessed it, is yourself. Your she shed needs you, the person you're saving needs you. Now, a lot of you, they go out there, you may not have an AED device in your home, you may not have a barrier mask or something, but that is okay. You don't have to have these devices to be able to save somebody's life. And again, most of the time, you won't have these things available to you. You may not carry them in your car. Now, when I was a case manager, they told us we were not allowed to perform CPR, believe it or not, due to the financial risk of maybe somebody suing or something of that information. However, we all knew that if that happened, we were going to be protected by the law because obviously somebody needs CPR, you've got to give them CPR. Now, so that brings me to my next question. When I say the phrase, someone is in need of medical assistance, does that automatically put the thought of someone needing CPR in your mind? Now, I would venture to say it does. There's countless things, but if somebody's in a panic mode, comes to you and says, somebody's needing medical assistance right now, you're going to automatically think, oh my goodness, this person's passed out, they're choking, they need CPR, their heart is stopped, or they've been in a serious accident that needs to have the ambulance involved. But what doesn't happen is when you go, oh, someone's needing CPR, someone's needing medical assistance, CPR, go save that person's life. And you let CPR do the job. Obviously, that's not how you do it. Now, we're going to take a little trip over to our demonstration table, and I'm going to have Tom assist us as we move forward over to there. So let's take a little walk. Now, Tom has some friends over at the table. Today, our primary discussion, you never know what's going to happen. Today, our primary discussion is going to be how to save the life of child to adult actually. There is infant CPR, there is child CPR, but we're not covering that today. Now, we are in our panic mode. We are in our medical assistance that Tom is needing. So, he was just laughing, cutting up with us, helping us go over the presentation that we're doing today, and then, oh no, Tom is in need of assistance. He's passed out on the table. What do we do? Well, don't just stand there, do something. What are you waiting on? And just like that, you too could find yourself in a medical emergency. Now, remember the video from the beginning? Let's walk through our steps together. Now, when we come on a scenario such as Tom, come here, Tom. Hang in there, buddy. such as Tom passing out on us, we don't need to worry about seeing who's going to be in charge. We'll say, okay, Tom's passed out, everybody. John, I need you to make sure you call 911. Jane, I'm going to be in charge of this scenario. Make sure you pay attention to me, everybody. Everybody, give me your attention. That is not what this is about. In this situation, the person who's closest to the individual who knows CPR needs to begin their task immediately. And if you know CPR, it is your responsibility to immediately take control of this situation until first responders can arrive. Just remember, time's ticking away, and time is of the essence. First, you need to quickly assess the situation. Now, our situation is Tom's passed out. He's out cold. He's not moving. He is on the ground. So, we need to check to make sure Tom's breathing. Now you go, Tom, are you okay? Tom. Now we're checking to make sure he's not obviously playing a trick, but also that he's in actual need of an emergency assistance. Okay, so we've checked Tom. It's apparent that he needs assistance, and we need to get the attention started. So your initial tendency is to want to begin CPR right away. Let's give some breaths to Tom, and let's get started on our CPR compressions. However, it is advised that you direct someone to dial 911 and for another person to find an AED device if one is available. Now, like I said earlier, while most of you may not have an AED in your home, which is okay, many public places do. Churches, schools, malls, anywhere you go now publicly, they usually have one in a manager's office or close by that would take a minute for them to get to it. So, we have an emergency situation. We go, I think Tom needs help. Jane, call 911. Go get the AED. John, come over here and get ready to help me do chest compressions. Automatically take control of the situation. It doesn't matter. This isn't about a time to be a hero. So what we're going to do is we're going to get down to his level. We're going to tilt his head slightly back, and we'll see if he's breathing. Now we're checking to see if he's breathing, because if he's not breathing, guess what? Game on. Okay? So the common myth that we see a lot in the movies, like I mentioned earlier, is you want to check for a pulse. Let me find his pulse. Where's his wrist? Let me check him real quick. Make sure he's got a pulse, because we don't need to do anything if there's a pulse. However, listen to the breathing. Even the most trained professionals can have trouble finding a pulse, or can even end up finding a phantom pulse where you may think you found one, like, oh no, he's got a pulse. Not even realizing that's not his pulse. That's just your mind working against you to think that he has a pulse. So you want to ensure he has actually stopped breathing and CPR is needed. Now obviously, if the person is still breathing, CPR is not needed. I hate to say that, but sometimes nowadays you have to give it all out in the open. But if he's not breathing, he needs it. Now when you talk about breathing, if you can hear a steady breath, even if it's a panic breath, he's still breathing. Now short, shallow breaths or occasional grasp for breaths, like that's not breathing. That man is in need of assistance. So, how do we give chest compressions? Well, we're going to take the heel of our palm and we're going to place it right around the base of the person's chest. Now we're going to put it on here, put it on his chest, and we're going to interlace our fingers with our dominant hand. So you want your hands to look kind of like this. You want to lay them on top and grab it and make those fists again. So with the palm of your hand go into his chest. And you want to push hard and fast, about 2 inches in. Now you don't want to try to drive your hands through his chest. We don't want to go out the backside trying to massage the lungs or the heart. We want to do steady. The idea is you don't do what you see in the movies. Oh, let's get these arms moving. No, you got to have a good solid grip with good solid retention on your arms. The base of the chest, 2 inches. So we're beginning our chest compressions. Okay, he's not breathing. I'm going to begin chest compressions. John, get ready to help. Get ready to help me until help arrives. Now it's important, and you're going, why does John need to help you with the chest compressions? Can I do this all myself? Maybe. However, when you're doing this, it don't seem like much, but you will get tired. Your body gets fatigued, the panic sets in, your heart's beating fast, and before you know it, I don't think it's going to make it, I need some help, I'm so tired. And that's where you can give compressions, and then somebody else can come join you and give compressions as well. Now, you want to go to about 100 to 120 compressions per minute, which average out to a little bit more than 1 per second. If you ever heard the old Bee Gees song, Staying Alive, I'm not going to sing for you. You're welcome. Then you are ready to keep the beat. Now, this is an important instructor's note. You do not want to sing Gloria Gaynor's I Will Survive. You don't want to go, at first I was afraid, I was petrified. You don't want to do that because, well, you will not survive. You're welcome. So, staying alive is much better than just surviving. Remember that. That'll stick in your head. So, you want to have two people help giving chest compressions to fight the fatigue. The idea, like we mentioned earlier, is to do a 30 to 2 compression rate. 30 compressions to 2 breaths. However, in this situation, we're going to go with the more updated version and give just chest compressions. Now, if you have somebody, if you're by yourself, this is where it gets scary, because when you're by yourself, what do? That's when you got to remember your training and all your instructions that you've taken in and use that to help get you going forward. The first thing you should do is call 911. You don't have time to leave him, but you got your phone. Pull your phone out. You call 911, hit that speaker, drop it, and get ready to start giving compressions. When 911 answers, the operator can and will walk you through this in case you forget or if you get panicked. The nice thing is, you've got 911 on the call. They are automatically watching where you are, finding your location, get ready to dispatch emergency services if they're available. Now, the sad fact is, most emergency services are probably at least 5 to 10 minutes away from where you're going to be in the best case scenario. Even the location we're at today, it would take the ambulance 5 to 10 minutes to arrive should an emergency situation arise. So, should you be alone, call 911, check for breathing, put your ear up to him so you can hear the breath, and then begin chest compressions immediately. Let the 911 operator walk you through it so you don't become disoriented. Hopefully you'll have somebody with you and you can direct them to call 911, and while they're on the phone you can begin chest compressions even before the 911 operator picks up. Now, a lot of people get nervous about this because you're trying to save somebody's life. They automatically start thinking, can I do this? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Trust your training. Remember, heel, fist, arm lock, press. Sounds like a lot, but it will help you. And don't worry so much about the after effects of what if this person tries to sue me. In most states, you're covered by the Good Samaritan law. Every state's different. However, saving somebody's life is more important than worrying about if you're going to get sued later on. The other problem is a lot of people get scared to do this. They're just nervous. They start panicking. So you got to remember our 3 C's: cool, calm, and collected. And when it boils down to it, compressions are the way to go. Now, you're saying to yourself, what should I do? Should I do 30 compressions and 2 rescue breaths, or should I just start compressions immediately and do non-stop compressions till the first responders get here? Well, the answer is yes to both questions, to both answers. The answer to both questions is yes. You can do 30 and 2. That's what you feel comfortable with if you're ready to make sure. When you do give rescue breaths, you want to pinch the nose, cover your mouth with their mouth, and give the breath in. Doing that will cause the chest to rise. If you give a rescue breath and the person's chest does not move, try it one more time. Tilt the head back. You want to open the airway and keep it nice and level. Pinch the nose, cover the mouth, and give a good hard breath in there. Now, you're not trying to blow out candles on a birthday cake, but you definitely want to get the air into the lungs. Once you do that, immediately begin chest compressions. Even if you do the 30 compressions to 2 breaths, you don't need to take longer than 1 second per breath. You want to immediately get back to the chest compressions. Now, the reason I'm kind of harping on chest compressions is because the idea is to get the blood moving through the vital organs of the body. The compressions, what it does is it does get the blood moving, because your brain can only last so long without oxygen, without blood, and it's got to get blood to the heart, blood to the brain, so the body functions can kick back in, do what the body is designed to do. That's why the chest compressions are the best thing. It's pumping blood through the organs of the body. Now, we're doing our chest compressions. We checked with breathing. We started the compressions. John's right there. Jane's called 911. John's right here ready to help. He's helping in. We're giving the chest compressions. Jane is back with the AED. So what we're going to do, we're going to grab our AED just like we did, the paramedics did on the video. Now the beautiful thing about the AED is it's idiot proof, which thank goodness for me. What you want to do is follow the instructions of the AED device. And the nice thing about the AED device is that it's the layman's crash cart. We see in movies, on television, grab the crash cart, grab the crash cart, the patient's coding. They're going to get the shockers, they're going to get the paddles and rub them together. You don't have to do this here. You don't have to attach paddles and rub them together and make sure you got the right voltage. The machine's going to do it for you. In most AED devices, when you connect it to them, will tell you if they actually need a shock. Excuse me. So if you have the machines, use it if you can. And if you're not familiar with it, if you're not comfortable using with it, go back to the thing I'm harping on, chest compressions. Tom's okay, he's hanging in there with us. So, the machine has electronic shock pads. Don't be nervous. Now don't connect them to yourself, obviously, you don't want to do that. And see, when I mentioned that these things are idiot-proof, if you can see, it tells you exactly where these need to go. The beautiful thing about the AED machine is it can be used on a child and it can be used on an adult. Most of the time, you'll have an option for a child or an adult setting on the AED device. But follow the instructions. Even a man can follow simple instructions as simple as this. Once the pads are attached to the correct location, in this situation, it's and you gotta think smart, it's not over the heart, it's to the right of the heart. You put one on the right part of the heart, one on the bottom left of the abdominal cavity. So you got your pads right here. Now we're not gonna shock Tom because Tom's still with us, he's just laying here for a demonstration. But when you put that on there, the AED machine will kick in, it'll say checking, checking, clear for shock, or give shock. And when that's ready, there's a heart button or a button that starts flashing, you hit it, boom, the shock starts. And it will immediately tell you to begin chest compressions again if the person is not revived when this happens. Now, like I said, AED devices can be used on adults and small children. However, it is important to know and remember that they don't go in the same place on children as they do adults. For the child, it goes one on the front and one on the back. We're not doing that today, we're just covering Tom because Tom is being hang here with us. So make sure you put the pads in the proper location. You have to think quick. You have to remember that cool, calm, and collected personality because you don't want to go, okay, over the heart, over the stomach, because then we'll not do any good. And the machine, thankfully, accounts for idiots like myself and remains idiot-proof and will probably tell you to move the pads. So, look at that. Remember that's the right side, right of the heart, bottom left. Now, you think you got it going. You got your chest compressions going. You got your AED. He's still not breathing. The sad fact of all of that we go over today is that sometimes the AED and the chest compressions is not enough. Now, the after effect of that information is kind of hard to swallow sometimes because we see it works all the time in the movies. They give CPR, they give the crash cart to the patient every time in the movies and TV shows, and they come back and they live a little bit longer. But you have to remember that this is not always going to work. But the chance of survival is significantly higher. It goes from anywhere from 10% up to 70% survival if chest compressions are begun immediately. The nice thing is, you call 911 while you're giving chest compressions. If somebody comes back and has an AED device, 911 is dispatching the ambulance to the first responders right away. So remember that. Start the chest compressions. Use the device, but call 911. So you got that? 911, chest compressions, lather, rinse, repeat. Okay, now we can go back to our seats. The most important tools of the trade, yourself. Above all else, you're going to need yourself. So, knowing what you know now, how would you react? Let's take a look at this video real quick.
Oh man, that was a great start to that game, man. I mean, Rachel's really been practicing, hasn't she?
Yeah, I hope she can pick it up. She needs to make a few more buckets in the second.
Chris!
Mr. K!
Wow, it's nice to see you. Back from college?
Yes, sir.
How did your first semester go?
It was good. It was good. It was a hard exam week. I'm feeling real beat, worn out.
Just
but-
tired, huh?
Yes, yeah. It's
But you're here watching your sister play tonight.
yeah, first game back, and
And how is she doing out there on the court?
she's good. She needs to make a few more buckets, but she's doing all
Well,
right.
she'd defend the family name better if she scored like you used to score.
Exactly. She's working on it.
All right, how has school been going?
It's going. It was good. I'm exhausted from exam week. It was a long week.
You look tired. Are you feeling okay?
Feeling a little lightheaded, a little dizzy.
You're lightheaded?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Chris, are you okay?
Right?
Are you okay?
Chris, wake up, man. What's up, Chris?
Judy, can you call 911? Liam, into the gym, get the AED. Katie, come on, chest compressions.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. One,
Got
2,
the AED.
3, 64,
Unbutton this
65,
shirt while I get this
66,
set up.
67, 68, 69, 70.
Now listen for the AED device to start talking to you.
72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100.
Do not touch the patient.
Where?
Deliver shock now. Shock delivered. If needed, begin CPR.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Chris!
Hey, man.
Chris!
You alright? I mean, you fell over, man. Right. You were saying you felt weak.
What do we have?
Chris was saying he felt kind of weak and then he just collapsed.
Okay. How are you doing, sir? How long were you out for?
Just like that. It could happen in an instant. So, knowing what you know now, how would you react? Did you think quickly? Did you do what they did and immediately start chest compressions? Now, this was a dramatized scenario. This was not a real scenario like our first video was. But it shows the importance of being ready, keeping a cool head, keeping a calm mind, and keeping yourself collected. That's important. Cool, calm, and collected. But not so much as how would you react, but how would you act. Now this little acronym is very useful to remember. And it's because it's ACED, it's ACT. How you need to act in this type of situation. The first thing you need to do is assess. You need to see, just like we did with Tom, to see if the person is responsive. Check to see if he's breathing. See if there's anything going on with him. You know, obviously if he's grabbing his throat, he's choking, so that would indicate a Heimlich maneuver. But if he passes out on the ground like the gentleman in the video did, you need to react or act quickly. So assess the situation, see if the person is responsive. Call or have someone call 911 immediately. Just like in the video, he immediately took over and started directing traffic, and that's important. He advised one to call 911, one to go grab the AED, and the other to begin chest compressions. Now, as so much as doing that is he could have began chest compressions himself, but he had the clear mind to direct traffic and get the people going where they needed to go. The nice thing is they were in a school setting, and the school setting had an AED in the gym. That's not uncommon for a lot of schools that have AEDs around campus. They will set off an emergency alarm, and just like the machine, like I mentioned earlier, will tell you what to do. It's analyzing for a heart rhythm, because if the heart's beating, you don't need chest compressions, and you definitely don't need to shock the individual. So listen to the device, listen to what it tells you, and react and act accordingly. Finally, treat. Start the chest compressions and use the AED if available. Now, as we saw in the video, she began chest compressions, or she continued chest compressions as he was getting the AED device ready. That's important. You don't go, oh, well, there's the AED. We'll just Whew, thank goodness Jane's back with that AED. We'll let her take over from here. No, you don't stop the chest compressions. You're keeping the blood moving through the organs, keeping it going to the brain and going to the heart, which gives a highly more successful chance of the AED to work like it's supposed to. So, in these type of situations, act accordingly. Assess, call, and then treat. Okay, so now that you know how to act in these type of situations, it's time to take it to the next step. So what do we need to do? Obviously, this is a refresher course for CPR, first aid, and AED training. If you don't have your certification, you need to go get certified in those three. Most of the time when you get with your instructor, they will have you certified in all three aspects. So you'll be ready to take care of that immediately. Become certified. Sit down with your family and plan out an emergency situation, or play out an emergency situation and plan for an emergency. Always plan for an emergency, because you never know what's going to happen. And the more you practice it, the more you prepare for it, the more you'll be ready when it does finally happen. Have posters up in your home. I remember growing up, there was always this old school poster of the Heimlich maneuver. It showed the person choking, it showed them grabbing under the abdominal thrust and doing that. When my father first started choking, I had never in my life had any kind of certification or official training to give the Heimlich maneuver. I just remembered what I had read in high school and remember what I had read at home, seeing that poster all the time. Is you get the thumb, the fist, thrust, and then you repeat. Thankfully, I was right there, and I'm a big fella. My father was a big fella, and I was able to get a hold of him. But just because the person's bigger than you doesn't mean that you can't do the Heimlich maneuver. Just because you've never done CPR before doesn't mean you can't do it. You just gotta remember the steps. And that's why it's important for you to sit down with your family and talk with your family over these type of situations. What will we do if somebody passes out? What will you do if you come home and mom was on the ground and not responding? Well, you need to teach your kids to dial 911. You need to teach your kids to listen for a rescue rep and be ready to follow the instructions of the 911 operator. Be ready to act. The nice thing I mentioned about the visual aids is it can help even the youngest members of your family. Now obviously, the 2-year-olds, the 3-year-olds, even maybe up to 4 or 5, may not be able to respond immediately to an emergency situation. But even somebody when they become around 4 or 5 knows, they can be taught to call 911. Emergency happens, call 911. They're coming to help you. That's what they're there for. A child can call 911 where they may not be able to do chest compressions, or they may not be able to do the Heimlich maneuver or apply an AED device. That's why it's important to sit down with your family, sit down with your kids, and have something planned out in this type of emergency. So, be alert and be ready to assist. It doesn't matter if you're in the mall, it doesn't matter if you're at home, if you're shopping, if you're at church, if you're at school. You need to be ready to assist. You can look up countless videos online where the mother panics. One video I was going to share with the class that ended up being shown because it showed the child started choking, the mother wasn't paying attention, the child started choking and choked for a good 15 to 20 seconds before the mother realized what was going on. She was not alert to her situation. She had 3 kids, both of them playing and doing what they wanted to at the mall. Thankfully, somebody saw it, hollered, she turned around and noticed, and then the first responder was close by and came by. Thankfully, the police officer was in the mall and was able to come help assist the child while the mother tried to wrangle the other 2 children. That's why you need to be alert. Always be alert and be ready to assist. And again, it's not about being a hero. It's about being ready. The next step, think quick. You gotta be able to think quick on your feet. You don't have to be perfect in the situation, because anything that you do that is better than not doing anything at all. So think quickly. Don't panic. We say it again and again and again. Stay calm and keep the situation under control. And the situation may be yourself. You may need to keep yourself under control. You gotta think quick. You gotta be alert, and you can't panic, because if you panic, your family member's gonna panic. Or somebody else is gonna come in and be like, okay, get out of the way and let me help. You have to be ready to respond, ready to assist, think quickly, don't panic, and then keep your head down while others are losing theirs. In a situation like we saw with our first video with the karate members that were practicing their moves, other ones around them weren't even paying attention. The man fell on the ground, maybe he thought he was playing around, or the guy knocked him out. But the other ones weren't paying attention, they weren't alert, ready to assist. Thankfully, his sparring partner saw what was going on and jumped into action, and everybody else was able to come in. He had a clear head. He thought quickly and started telling everybody to call 911. Now, it happened in England, so they called 999, but here, they obviously called 911. Be alert. Be ready to assist. Think quickly. Don't panic, and keep your head on while others are losing theirs. I do want to thank you for joining our training session today. We'll be passing out post-test and evaluation forms for you to complete, letting us know how we do. We also have posters readily available for you to take home and put on your wall, to copy, to give out to your friends and family members, that shows the Heimlich maneuver and first aid response. And remember, no matter so much as staying alert, don't just survive, stay alive. My name has been Joseph Elan Reaves. I've been your trainer for today. I thank you for participating in this session. Round of applause for Tom and his volunteers. See you next time.